Hey guys, this is TaunaMTG, and today we're going to be talking about the newest controversy to do with Wizards of the Coast and AI. We've got AI stuff going on, or potentially going on, that we're going to be talking about here. But we're going to go through the history of Magic the Gathering in regards to Wizards and AI, alongside pointing out some other kind of problematic art issues that we've had in the past as well. Just consider this kind of like your primer on all the AI art, Magic's policy on it, and what the hell is happening, basically. So let's start out with, talking about the original use of AI that got caught out, which was when they had the D&D books. So historically, they've kind of publicly been against AI. However, there's been a number of times where they have used it in the past. So the first one here was this book for Dungeons and Dragons, August 2023, had some AI generated / assisted art for the Bigby Presents Glory of Giants. After that, they put out a statement saying, while we weren't aware of the artist's choice to use AI in the creation process for these commissioned pieces, we have discussed with him and he will no longer use AI for Wizards work moving forward. And here is the statement there from a Super Rare Ilya saying, I used AI in the process to generate certain details or polish and edit, and then to shine some light on the process. He attached both the versions here showing the older version with the AI stuff on it as well. Now, keep in mind that they are tied to using AI art generators prior to this, right? Operates on the NFT marketplace as well, which is interesting because NFTs are generally using AI and generally pretty against the kind of whole D&D tabletop RPG kind of stuff. So yeah, just kind of showing off here that they started out back in August. There was some AI stuff that kind of leaked through there, and then they came out and said, hey, we don't want this, we're not going to do this. And then after that, they put out this statement here basically saying, look, we require artists, writers, and creatives contributing to Magic to refrain from using AI generative tools to create final Magic products. Keep in mind that says final Magic products. So that doesn't mean that AI can't be used to start it or during the process. It's just says to create final. So I guess they can use it to create like the references that they're going to use and stuff along those lines. I assume that's what it's meaning, as opposed to you can't use AI in the actual thing. So you can use AI as a part of the creative process, just not for actually creating the work. All right. So then they came out with this a little bit later. So this was January 2024. They posted up on their official Twitter page to celebrate Ravnica Remastered coming. And as soon as, they posted it, some people are pointing out, hey, some of these like things on here are pretty funky. Like if you look up here, you can see this the gauge up here looks off. Some things around over like, the book over here, just the actual cover of the book looks a bit off and stuff, right? And Wizard said, hey, no, this was just made by humans and not AI, until a couple of days later where they retracted that statement and said, hey, look, yeah, okay, some AI components may have slipped in, using industry standard tools like Photoshop that I'll show you in a second as to what I'm meaning there, even if a human did work to create the overall image. So they had it kind of leak through there. They came out with another statement in a sec that I'll show you, but this is what they're talking about there with the AI tools within Photoshop. You can use generative fill and stuff like that to essentially create objects there, as you can see here down here with the pumpkin-y, tomato-y looking thing. Add the water drops in and just create stuff like that, but it still sometimes ends up looking uncanny valley, as you can kind of see with the as I said, the temperature pressure gauge up there as well. All right. And then they came out with another statement after they said, hey, so as now we're aware that we need to tell our vendors that we're working with, our marketing, our PR teams that we're working with, that, hey, please don't use AI. We also want to get better at understanding whether and how AI is used in the creative process. All right. So that's what they're saying there, is that they want to know how it's used throughout the creative process, but don't use it in the final products, is what they are saying as far as I'm aware there. All right, so this is their current stance on AI, which is Magic and D&D have been built on innovation, ingenuity, and hard work of the talented people who sculpt these beautiful and creative games. As such, we require artists, writers, and creators contributing to Magic TCG and the D&D TTRPG to refrain from using AI generative tools to create final, again, that word final there, Magic and D&D products. We are regularly evaluating resources we could use to help detect a generative AI. It is important to us that we continue having a human in the loop regardless, especially since these tools are quite new. They also talked about after that they've, invested in a like AI detection tool essentially that works alongside humans to kind of detect if the AI was used in stuff. Those are not infallible though, right? Like the AI detection is not necessarily always going to be great, especially if it's AI and then they kind of lightly paint over top of it, might throw it off. All right, so this is I think a very important statement to bring up here as well. Piece of art, so whatever character or whatever card from Magic sure looks like AI to me. Why are you not doing something about it? They basically say here, look, we're not going to respond to the AI discourse, but these are the things that we can do. We're going to, either, like, this is why we're not responding to it. Our investigation revealed there's no generative AI used to protect the privacy of one or more individuals. So therefore, not coming out and say, hey, this person used AI, because, then people will go jump on top of them. Or the investigation was inconclusive. So it's not even that they found there was no AI. If they weren't sure if there was no AI, then they still won't say anything or, necessarily do anything. Or the last one here, which I think is important, we made internal changes such as declining to work with the artist further, but did not publicly comment. So, they find an artist, did an AI comment, did an AI art or AI writing or whatever, and they decline to work with them in the future, but they don't actually come out and say, hey, we're not working with this person because they used AI. Because, there is like, it is going to burn someone pretty bad if they do that, right? Like if they do that kind of, AI generation and they didn't fess up about it, talk about it or anything like that, then it could easily burn them pretty hard if it comes out for not just, Magic and Wizards, but everywhere. Now, I do think that that's kind of, you reap what you sow, but I understand why they kind of don't want to be a part of that, because that could potentially open them up for some kind of suing or something like that, potentially, if they, whoever they, versing has a really great lawyer, I guess, but they're a multi-million-dollar company, so who knows. So our preference is to handle the issue and artist relation internally where possible. So therefore, not coming out and saying it. So therefore, we're not going to get statements on this artist used AI. I don't think we're going to get any statements to say, hey, this artist used AI, we're not going to work with them. Now, when an artist steals art, that is different, and we'll get into that a bit later. So one thing that's also important to note here is that these AI generating tools, right? They use Magic the Gathering and they use Magic artists and the IP to generate stuff. They pull a whole bunch of stuff from it. This is the CEO here of Midjourney admitting that and saying, like, you look, I'm actually looking for a list of artists to add. Give me a whole bunch. Have a lot of Magic the Gathering and Western ones already. Then artist names come from Wikipedia and Magic the Gathering. Like they literally just troll all the Magic cards, take the art for them, and then they're using them within their Midjourney stuff. That is important to note as well because of something that I'll get into later. So, however, this is the CEO of Wizards. You saw like CEO of Hasbro. You saw like what their statement are about it. However, this is the CEO of Hasbro saying, look, there's not one single person that doesn't use AI when they're doing D&D stuff. This is him talking about his D&D groups, right? That doesn't use AI somehow for either campaign development or character development or story ideas. And then he goes on to say the themes around using AI to enable user-generated content, using AI to streamline new player introduction, using AI for emergent storytelling. I think you're going to see that not just our hardcore brands like D&D, but also multiple of our brands. He's basically saying, look, we're open to kind of using AI here. We're open to it. So we'll see as to how that goes in the future if they kind of change their statement on using AI. Currently, the statement's still the same. Look, don't use AI for Final Magic or D&D products, but the CEO of Hasbro is really open to doing it, including the fact that they're hiring a principal AI generator. Now, this is not saying that they're using it for D&D or for Magic. However, it does say a foundation for a new playful AI-driven platform. You'll be the first engineer on a new AI platform with a Hasbro IP behind it. So, that could be Magic, an AI Magic thing. Who knows? Or it could be, a D&D one, I assume. More likely D&D, especially because they talk about large language models there. Shaping the future of interactive play and entertainment. So that, is screaming to me D&D. But who knows? We'll see. They could be using it for Magic as well. Some kind of Magic, like, RPG, I guess. Who knows? All right. So these aren't the only artist issues with AI, though. We've also got stuff with people stealing art. For example, back in Strixhaven, the Crux of Fate, the art here was copied by Jason Felix. You can see here the Nicol Bolas there with the Nicol Bolas here. However, he came out and actually apologized about it. Apologized to Kit Lupuna, Raymond Swanland, and the Wizards of the Coast. He was overworked, and he has no excuse. That's good. I like that he actually came out and say, hey, I fucked up. I was overworked and there's no excuse. I'll be compensating the artists and hope to advocate for their names to be on the card instead of my own. That's good. Now, I don't think the card art is actually changed, or the card art's not been reprinted, so I don't think it's changed. But yeah, it's good to see that, someone's admitted their fuck up. But then we've had the Wayfarer's Bauble here. The background from this is stolen from Lorenzo Lafranconi. Here you can see the background here very clearly being ripped from their painting there. For the Wayfarer's Bauble from Ixalan, the Lost Caverns of Ixalan. And then, after that, the artist came out and also apologized here. In my process of painting, I collect references, especially for things I feel uncertain about, and sometimes I put those positioned on the canvas to paint over them. I sometimes use this as a way to, he kind of just explains it himself and said, like, hey, so I copied this and then I was tracing over it, but I didn't change it enough, basically. Which I don't think that's exactly admitting fault. Like, he said it's 100% on me, but I'm not sure if I completely believe that one. That's different to, hey, I fucked up. It's, hey, I fucked up, but this is how I fucked up. Yeah, which I'm not a big fan of that. But either way, at least they came out and said something, which brings us to the next one. Ooh, Faye Dalton. So this one here is for the Trouble in Pairs from Murders at Karlov Manor. The art here is just clipped from a whole bunch of different things. This one here is from, it actually came out that there was like 4 different paintings that this was clipped on. So the first one here was this Orky. You can see clearly ripped from the Cyberpunk 2020 Ravagers art by Donato Giansola. I probably butchered that name. I apologize. But then after that, people went and figured out that, this part was ripped from someone. This was as well. And it was just it was essentially just a conglomeration of a whole bunch of different art pieces, which is awful. Now, Faye Dalton, as far as I'm aware, has not made any statements about stealing this. However, after that, people also went back and looked at the Ajani art here from the Gatewatch and noticed that it exactly matches up in just way too many ways with the art here, the art of the line that I did not grab the reference from who it was from. But if you put them on top of each other, you can see the actual art matches in a way that really shouldn't be. So, Faye Dalton kind of stealing the art there as well. But Faye Dalton's not put out any statements about this. So, yeah. All right. Now, on to the latest news, what you kind of potentially here for. We're talking about the upcoming, not the upcoming, I guess it's upcoming, Toph card. So, if you guys are liking this content so much far, though, make sure you subscribe. We're trying to hit 25,000 subscribers by the end of the year. This is your spot for instant speed breaking news, covering everything that's coming out and stuff like that. We've got it all here for you guys, but we also cover just a bunch of other stuff as well on the channel. All right, so this is what we're talking about, the Toph hard-headed teacher. As soon as this card came out, people started questioning it and whether it may have been AI or not. Now, I realize that it looks like there's brush strokes and stuff. We will get into that. However, the number kind of, I guess the big reasons are who actually made the art, which we'll get into, but also the like lighting looks like it's coming from multiple different sources as well. Like you can see, it doesn't look like this part here should not be lit up the way it is. It also just kind of looks half finished as well. Now, I do not mind the art. I will say that I do not mind the art. I think it's okay, but it does look a little bit not finished. Now, Ruin Lu has also made this art here, which I think is also important to point out because this one here only shows up on the Gatherer website. I have not found it anywhere else. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with it. It's meant to be a promo and stuff. However, I cannot find any reference to it being a promo anywhere else. But either way, I thought it was important to kind of point this out because there is actually 2 art pieces by Ruin Lu that I apologize if I'm butchering your name as well, that, you know, we can talk about here. So, who is Ruin Lu? They are the co-founder of Spellbrush, which is a startup focused on building the next generation of AI-powered games. AI-powered games, they work with Midjourney to make a different thing called Midjourney, which creates custom anime illustrations. Again, that is trained off of Midjourney, which we talked about earlier. Midjourney that rips art from Magic and Magic artists. Yeah, to create this Midjourney that creates anime art. They also create Waifu Labs, which is a area that you can go to create your own custom waifus, which I'll show you through because I think that's very important. I think that's a big indicator towards this potentially being AI. Now, this is not proven to be AI. There's nothing that come out to say, you know, it is 100%. So I apologize if I say at some point it is, but it's not proven. Looking at it, though, yeah. Yeah, anyway, so looking at the Waifu Labs. If you go into Waifu Labs, you essentially get this kind of grid, right? Where you get to choose an initial portrait. So I'm going to go through the creation process of how I did one, just because I want to show you how similar it looks to this Toph. So you choose one of these, and then after that, you get to fine tune the color palette. So you get to choose a color palette here. Already you can see like the same kind of, you know, brush strokes and stuff like that in the hair and stuff. Then after that, you get to fine tune the details, very simplistic backgrounds or the details on the face and stuff there. And then finally, you get to choose a pose. Looking at this, like this art, like this hairstyle and stuff like that, the kind of, it looks half finished-ish, it just reminds me so much of that Toph, right? So this is from Waifu Labs, which was again created by Ruin. It's a AI generator of just waifu profile pics, essentially. Right. So where does Waifu Labs get their AI from? So this applies to both Waifu Labs and to the other AI as well. They are exposed to anime data from human artists and offered feedback on how they performed on their respective tasks. Again, this comes from human artists. These artists are not paid in any way for this art to have been used here. These artists are not even necessarily from people who work there at all, right? Like it's just pulling art from everywhere, including the Midjourney as well. Now, I'm not saying that Ruin can't draw, right? Like, you know, there's definitely potential that this is more than, you know, not just AI, or it is you know, it is a full painting, who knows. But here's some, you know, just clips, just because I wanted to show, you know, Ruin does do drawing as well, like that. These are from their personal Twitter that shows, you know, some of their previous art. So this is the Midjourney. So this uses it creates custom anime illustrations just for you. It's a collaboration between Midjourney and Spellbrush, whether you're looking for a cute chibi character or a dynamic action pose. Yeah, look at this hair here. I'll show you a comparison in a minute. But these are some of the art that has been created by it. You know, just classic anime-esque kind of art. Avatar suits that. Avatar is definitely, you know, up there in anime-esque. It's not an anime, it's anime-esque. But here, like, look at the coloring here. It matches so well. The actual body, like the clothes as well, like the art, yeah. I don't know. I'm not saying again this is 100% AI or anything like that, but I would not be surprised if there is not AI used here in any way. And here is a comparison to some of Ruin's other work. This is their non-AI showing work, or at least, maybe it's AI and it's just, yeah, it's on their portfolio either way, just to kind of compare it to that. And, you still got the same art, like this, that kind of matches, I guess, across there. And again, I don't know if any kind of AI was used in the generation of these art pieces there. So, you know, that said, I do want to say that AI witch hunting is almost as bad as AI. I am joking about that because I don't like AI witch hunting because it just forces so many artists to be like, okay, I need to sketch every single bit of this to make sure that you know this isn't AI. And some of them are pretty unfair, and it's people also do it like really quick, right? Like they see it and they're like, that's AI. And it's like, if you look a little bit harder, it's not. So this here was from Alan Morris, which was the Spider UK art there. That was, he shows his method as to how he's drawn and everything like that. We've got here someone accusing the Monster Hunter Secret Lair of being AI. I don't know if that one is or not, but either way, accusations there going around. We've got here Philip Lenner's art for being accused there for the art for their. Oh no, that's not even his art. It's the art from Marcelo Bolivar there for the Angel. We've got also the art here for the swamp, the pizza swamp there, from Gabaleps. And then finally the Rev one. Now, I don't know if Rev is AI or not, but there has been a huge amount of accusations around Rev Tithe Extractor. Now, did you use AI? I don't think that's the important thing to take away from here. Now, there is not many ways that we can prove if it was AI or not, realistically. I do think there was some usage here, but yeah, I think that's beside the point. The thing is that they've worked with an artist that has flaunted, absolutely flaunted. In fact, the first thing you find when you look up Ruin Lu is, here's their AI stuff and everything like that. Flaunting making AI generation content and enabling other people to do that as well. That's stealing from artists. And at best, it's saying, there aren't any issues with that. And at worst, it's almost kind of encouraging it. And, AI art is theft. And I know that, a whole bunch of people will say that, but it's literally taking, there's a reason why that people look at AI, like look at Magic cards and say, hey, that's AI art. It's because the AI art has stolen the work from Magic cards. Again, there's no kind of confirmation for it, but I think that, I think personally it is, but, let me know what you guys think. I want to hear from you guys as to what you think about all this. Hope you guys had a wonderful day and goodbye.